Discover the incredible life-changing remedies of Victorian times, heartwarming stories revealed. Ella stood behind the counter of her father's small apothecary, the scent of dried herbs and waxy beeswax filling the air like ghosts of the past. Outside was the picturesque maple grove, where leaves danced in the crisp autumn breeze, and laughter echoed through every corner. But inside, Ella fought a battle of her own, the weight of overdue bills pressing down like a thick fog. She gazed at her spirited daughter, Lily, with her sun-kissed curls and bright, innocent smile. "Mama, can we make magic potions today?" Lily's eyes sparkled with wonder. "Maybe," Ella replied, masking her tight chest with a smile. Days turned into weeks. As a mysterious illness gripped Maple Grove, Ella watched neighbors fall ill, and their familiar laughter turned to whispers of worry. The local doctor, Dr. Harris, couldn't he help them, his white coat feeling more like an empty promise. Ella felt like a ship adrift, isolated in her struggle. In a moment of desperation, she climbed to the attic, dust swirling in the air as she opened her father's journals. The pages whispered secrets, stories of resilience and love, wrapped in the charm of Victorian remedies. She felt a stirring in her heart. Could this old knowledge truly help? Tentatively, she tried one of the remedies on Lily. It was like a glimmer of hope broke through the clouds. Lily's bright eyes shone as she recovered, filling Ella's heart with disbelief and joy. Perhaps her father's legacy wasn't just folklore after all. Encouraged by this miracle, Ella started sharing these remedies with her neighbors, empathy deepening their bond. Faces once dappled in worry transformed with warmth and gratitude. Yet not everyone welcomed change. Dr. Harris watched with furrowed brows as his power slipped through his fingers like sand. "Ella, you're playing with fire," he cautioned one afternoon, eyes narrowed. A part of her bristled. "Why wouldn't he listen?" The community rallied, supporting her with busy hands and grateful hearts, but whispers floated through the streets. Her humble beginnings were a point of scorn, a constant reminder of class differences. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The story deepened when Ella uncovered a hidden truth in her father's journals, a shared ancestry between her family and Dr. Harris's. The revelation was a thunderclap against the tension that engulfed them. Memories of old grievances emerged, revealing unhealed wounds that both families carried. In this moment of startling clarity, possibility danced in the air, creating an atmosphere ripe for reconciliation. Ella stood at the crossroads of her shattered expectations. Could she mend the rift and build a bridge with Dr. Harris? Would Maple Grove finally see the power of unity over division? With her heart pounding, she contemplated her next move against the backdrop of the flickering candlelight, weaving hope into her grieving world. Could this be the turning point, or was it just another illusion ready to break apart? The questions lingered, whispering in the silence, propelling her forward into the unknown. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the apothecary as Ella wrestled with her thoughts. The vision of Dr. Harris's narrowed eyes haunted her, but the warmth of her community's support kept her spirit alive. The idea of reconciling with him was daunting. It felt like trying to fit sand into a jar with a hole at the bottom. With her resolve strengthening, she decided it was time to confront their shared history. "Lily, darling, I'm off to talk to Dr. Harris," Ella said, tying her shawl around her shoulders. A flicker of hesitation crossed Lily's face. Will he be mad? Her innocent worry pierced Ella's heart. "I hope not, sweetheart. But I have to try." As she left the apothecary, the air felt charged with anticipation. Ella's determination grew with each step, mingling with the smell of damp earth. What if this encounter could heal more than just a relationship? What if it could help the town as a whole? When she reached Dr. Harris's office, the sight of the white door made her pause. Memories of her father trailed behind her, warm laughter, teachings whispered in the twilight. She took a deep breath, steady, and knocked. "Come in." His voice was brisk, tinged with fatigue. She pushed the door open, finding him hunched over his desk, the same white coat stark against the wood. The moment he looked up, the surprise washed over his features, quickly replaced by wariness. "Ella, what brings you here?" he asked, folding his hands, revealing tension in his shoulders. "I found something in my father's journals." "It's about our families," she started, her voice steadying as she spoke. Dr. Harris's brows knitted in confusion. "What do you mean?" Ella recounted their shared lineage, the threads of history weaving them together like a tapestry once hidden from view. She saw the flicker of understanding in his eyes. "I know things haven't been easy between us," her tone softened. "But what if we worked together? You with your medical knowledge and me with my father's remedies?" He leaned back, and the room fell into a tense silence. She could see a battle in his eyes, pride bruised by necessity. "Ella, it's not as simple as that. The town, they trust me. This is dangerous territory. But if we don't set aside our differences now, it won't just be us who suffer. The whole of Maple Grove needs hope." Ella stepped closer, meeting his gaze. "Please, we could save lives." After a heartbeat of hesitation, he stood, the weight of choice pressing against him. "What you say has merit. If there's even a chance." Ella's heart leaped. "Let us start with a community gathering. We can reveal these remedies and discuss their benefits together." As they began to chart their course, a sense of unity unfolded. It felt fragile yet powerful, a whispered promise of healing. However, away from this newfound alliance, a storm brewed. Distrust was stirring among some townsfolk, emboldened by fear. Rumors were beginning to swirl, threatening to undermine everything Ella hoped to achieve. With the gathering planned, Ella's emotions surged. Would people be willing to open their minds? Would they swallow their pride for the sake of health? It was the evening before the event, and Ella couldn't shake the weight on her heart. If their plan crumbled, it could spell disaster not only for her but for the entire community. Just then, a knock at the door startled her. A frantic voice called from outside. "Ella! You need to come quickly." With dread pooling in her stomach, she rushed outside. What awaited her could change everything she thought she knew. Would she be able to face the truth? And would they emerge stronger together, or would fear tear them apart? Ella burst through the door, her heart racing. The evening was cool, a stark contrast to the warm swells she had felt inside the apothecary. She followed the frantic voice into the dim light of the street, the shadows elongating with the setting sun. Standing before her was Mrs. Thompson, a matron from the town, her face drawn tight with anxiety. "Ella! It's Patrick, he's hurt." Patrick, Mrs. Thompson's young son, had always been a bright spark in the community, with a smile that could light up any room. "What happened?" Ella asked, already feeling her pulse quicken. "He fell while playing near the creek. He hit his head." "It's bad, Ella," Mrs. Thompson's voice trembled. Without hesitation, Ella sprang into action, her worries for the gathering temporarily pushed aside as she grabbed her bag of remedies and herbs. "Let us go." The town was small, and the creek was just a few blocks away. As they ran, Ella's mind raced. She remembered just a few months ago, a little scrape on Lily's knee had turned into a scare. This, though far worse, felt like another challenge to rise to. Upon reaching the scene, Ella spotted a small group gathered around Patrick. The boy lay on the ground, eyes shut, a small pool of blood staining the grass beside his head. Panic bubbled up inside her, but she forced herself to think clearly. Kneeling beside him, she felt for a pulse. It was there, faint but steady. "Everyone, please step back," she instructed, her voice strong, though her heart thudded loudly against her ribcage. Mrs. Thompson hovered nearby, tears streaming down her cheeks. "What can we do?" "We need to keep him calm," Ella replied, her focus shifting entirely to Patrick. She gently cradled his head to keep it still. "And I need some cloth." A woman quickly ran to fetch a towel from a nearby basket. Ella pressed it against the cut on his temple, feeling the heat radiate from the wound. "Someone find Dr. Harris," she called, glancing around desperately. As moments passed, doubt began to gnaw at her. Would Dr. Harris even listen to her now? They had only just begun to bridge their differences. But her thoughts vanished when a familiar figure emerged from the crowd, Dr. Harris himself. "Ella," I heard he stopped short, taking in the scene before him. "Patrick's hurt. I think he needs stitching, but I can't do it alone," she urged, desperation filling her eyes. Dr. Harris knelt beside her, his calm demeanor a sharp counterpoint to the rising tension. Together, they worked, their hands moving in unison as they tended to Patrick's injury. Ella prepared her remedies, while Dr. Harris focused on stabilizing the wound. The town felt quiet, all eyes watching. For once, the fear that had gripped the community faltered. Ella could sense the shift, the budding belief that maybe they could unite as they worked side by side. After several heart-stopping minutes, they finished. Dr. Harris tightened the last stitch and sat back, wiping sweat from his brow. Patrick stirred, blinking rapidly. "Mom?" he whispered. Mrs. Thompson rushed forward, relief washing over her. Ella exchanged a glance with Dr. Harris, the fear of the past giving way to a flicker of hope. "How did you know what to do?" he asked, curiosity mingling with respect. "I've been preparing remedies and studying," she replied softly, "but it takes more than one to heal." Before more words could form, a shout disrupted the moment. David, a known instigator, stood at the edge of the crowd. "What's this? Playing doctor, are we?" Ella's heart sank. David's voice dripped with malice, and she felt eyes darting in his direction. Would they listen to him? Would fear win again? Dr. Harris stood, facing David with newfound conviction. "We all have a part to play. What matters isn't who we are to each other, but how we come together." Ella felt a warmth surge within her, but the stakes were higher now than ever. Could they truly unite at the gathering against fear? Or would dread drown them in divisiveness? As the crowd began to murmur, Ella realized this was only the beginning. The gathering loomed large, and with it, the chance for something so much more than just remedies. Would they seize it, or allow fear to break them apart once again? Ella's heart raced, not just from the heat of the moment but from a deep-seated fear that twisted in her gut. David's presence felt like a storm cloud rolling in, threatening to overshadow the fragile victory she'd just shared with Dr. Harris. She could see the doubt ripple through the crowd like a wave. "Why should we trust you both?" David sneered, folding his arms across his chest as he surveyed the onlookers. "You think you can heal? Look at what happened to Patrick." The tension in the air grew thick. Ella glanced toward Mrs. Thompson, who held Patrick close, brushing back his hair as he lay there, still recovering from the shock. Instead of fear, she saw determination in the matron's eyes. It sparked something within Ella. If Mrs. Thompson could stand firm, then so could she. "We're not just playing doctors," Ella stepped forward, her voice steadied by urgency. "We're here to help. We've shown we can come together when it really matters. This isn't about individual pride, it's about saving lives and building a stronger community." Dr. Harris nodded, his presence an anchor beside her. "Exactly. This isn't just about remedies or wounds. It's about trust, support, and healing. Let us take care of our own instead of tearing each other down." A quiet murmuring spread through the crowd as people exchanged glances. Some nodded, their faces reflecting a mix of hope and apprehension. Ella took a deep breath, trying to quell the anxiety pooling in her stomach. "Patrick is going to be okay," she continued, her gaze sweeping over the worried faces. "But what if next time, it's someone else? Someone we can't save if we're too busy fighting among ourselves? We have to unite if we want to move forward." For a moment, Ella felt a shift. The tension softened, and she could see old worries recede, like a tide drawn back from the shore. David flinched, caught off guard by the volley of response. "And what makes you think you know how to heal us?" he challenged, his bravado faltering. "I might not have all the answers, but I believe we each hold a piece of the solution, Ella asserted, her confidence growing. Together, we can learn and grow. Just like the herbs I've used to mend Patrick's wound, we must cultivate trust and teamwork. Dr. Harris stepped closer to her, his approval evident in his expression. We have methods, practices, and hope to share. And the next time you're all united, it could be for something wonderful rather than something tragic. We can build something beautiful together if we allow it. A smile cracked through Mrs. Thompson's tears of relief. Let us do it for Patrick. People began to nod more fervently, strangers clasped hands and murmured encouragement. David's frustration pulsed in the air, but his argument faltered against the growing wave of unity. Ella lifted her chin, determined to hold on to the momentum. We have a gathering coming up. Let us make it a space for healing, both physically and emotionally. We can share remedies, knowledge and hope. Just then, a child's laughter cut through the anxiety, brightening the moment just a touch. Ella turned to see a young girl nearby kicking a pebble, carefree. If only everyone could see that innocence, the power in togetherness. But just as the mood began to brighten, a new figure appeared on the outskirts of the group. It was the mayor, her hands clasped tightly, adding weight to the already charged atmosphere. Ella's stomach flipped again. Would the mayor stand with them or against them? As the unexpected leader stepped forward, Ella felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her. What would the mayor say? Would she join the push for healing, or would she bring forth more division? The stakes were higher than ever now. Would the town unite at last, or would one voice threaten to fracture it all? The mayor took a deep breath, her expression unreadable as she surveyed the crowd. She had always been a figure of authority, a stark reminder of rules and procedures, but today, her presence felt more like a mediator standing at a precipice. Ella held her breath, eyes locked on the mayor, wishing for a glimmer of solidarity, a sign that all their efforts might not be in vain. Thank you for bringing us together today, the mayor finally began, her voice steady but quiet. I know the past few days have been filled with uncertainty, and I'm grateful to see so many of you here. Her gaze swept over the anxious faces, coaxing forth small nods that felt like tiny embers of hope stirring in the crowd. Ella felt her heartbeat quicken. Would this support shift things, or would it plunge them into deeper conflict? However, the mayor continued, her tone shifting, I must say, I have my concerns. David smirked from the back, relishing the mayor's words as if they were a sweet note played just for him. Concerns? Ella could hardly contain her frustration. We're here to try and heal. To bring solutions. I understand, Ella, the mayor replied, her calmness disarming, but we need to be cautious. This is a small town, and trust is built through steady, proven paths, not unfounded remedies. Her words resonated, but they felt like cold water splashed across the warmth that had just begun to spread. And I think it's time we explored those paths together, Dr. Harris interjected, his voice a beacon cutting through the tension. What if we host a demonstration? An open forum for everyone to learn about healing practices, both old and new? The mayor considered his offer, eyes narrowing as if weighing its significance. That could work. But you all need to remember healing isn't just about the body, it starts here. She pointed to her heart, and then to the crowd. It's about trust, too. You need to show the community that they can rely on you. Ella nodded, feeling the weight of that responsibility settle like a heavy cloak around her shoulders. We can do that. We'll show them the effectiveness of these methods. Not just with words, but through action. The murmuring had returned, this time infused with cautious optimism. People began sharing glances filled with renewed energy, as hope crept back into the atmosphere. Mrs. Thompson squeezed Patrick's hand as he stirred, just beginning to wake. But David stepped forward, his brow furrowed. And what if it doesn't work? Suppose someone gets hurt? Will you both take the blame? Ella bristled, but before she could speak, the mayor silenced the crowd with a steely glare. This is exactly why we need a solid plan. Everyone will be welcome to contribute. Share your knowledge, and let us lift this community together. And if any of you doubt either Ella or Dr. Harris, you can step forward and voice your concerns like adults. Ella could feel the tide turning. The mayor's authority brought respect and the weight of experience. Still, doubts lingered in the air, shadows circling the edges, reflecting the raw fear in the hearts of the townsfolk. "We're stronger than our fears," Ella said, her voice gaining volume and clarity. "We can rise above this challenge like we've always done together." The crowd shifted, a collective breath filled with anticipation and anxiety at the same time. Positive murmurs started to mingle with cautious agreement, and Ella's heart soared slightly. The mayor took a step back, seemingly appeased but still watching for fractures. "Then let us move forward," she said slowly. "Plan this gathering. But remember, the outcome is ours to shape." As the crowd buzzed with the early threads of excitement, Ella clasped her hands together, her heartbeat a resolute declaration against the fear that had threatened to drown them all. It was a step, albeit a fragile one. They were on the cusp of something that could either lift their spirits or unravel them completely. But then a sharp scream pierced through the gathering unmistakably, a child's voice full of terror. Ella spun around, heart sinking. What had happened now? And as the crowd turned in unison, fear gripped her anew. The stakes had never been higher. What lay beyond that unexpected cry? Ella's heart raced, her eyes darting past the sea of faces filled with confusion and fear. The scream echoed again, shrill and desperate, cutting through the buzz of the crowd like a knife. She felt a surge of adrenaline. Without thinking, she pushed her way toward the sound, her instincts propelling her forward. "Stay calm," Ella urged as she moved, but her own heart was thumping wildly in her chest, a relentless drum of anxiety. What if it was a child seriously hurt? What if this was the nightmare they had all been fearing, a culmination of everything that had led them to this moment? As Ella reached the front of the crowd, she spotted a small boy, no more than 6, lying on the ground, his face pale and streaked with tears. The gathered adults formed a protective ring around the child, their faces a mix of concern and fear, uncertainty rippling across their expressions like a dam about to burst. "Tommy!" shouted a woman, rushing forward. Ella recognized her as the boy's mother, her voice trembling with distress. As she kneeled beside him, Ella could see that Tommy's small ankle was twisted at an odd angle. A hush fell over the crowd as eyes turned from the boy to the mayor, who had moved closer as well. "We need to call for help," the mayor said, her voice firm but with an unmistakable note of worry. But Ella's mind was racing. They had just been talking about healing, about finding new ways to treat the town's ailments. She felt that deep-rooted conviction rising again. "No," Ella said suddenly, surprising even herself. "We need to see if we can help him right here." Eyes widened, and whispers rippled through the crowd. "Ella, are you sure?" Dr. Harris questioned, stepping closer, hands fidgeting as he gauged the situation. "Trust is built through action." Ella echoed the mayor's earlier words, remembering those very moments with the crowd. If they were to gain their trust, this was a chance to demonstrate their conviction. "We can show them what healing means." Taking a deep breath, she knelt beside the boy, meeting his wide eyes filled with fright. "Tommy, I'm here with you, buddy. Can you squeeze my hand?" She extended her fingers toward him, praying he would trust her. Tommy hesitated, then slowly wrapped his small fingers around hers. "It hurts," he whimpered, tears spilling onto his cheeks. "I know it does. But we're going to help you, I promise. Just hold on tight to my hand," she softly reassured him, turning her gaze to his mother. "Ma'am, can you keep him calm? Talk to him about something he likes, his favorite toys, or games." His mother nodded, although her face was still drawn with worry. She started to speak, her voice wavering but eager to comfort her son. Meanwhile, Ella focused on Tommy's ankle, assessing the injury. She recalled snippets of what she had learned through her own research into holistic healing methods. "Tommy, can you wiggle your toes for me?" Ella asked. The boy nodded, and he managed to move them slightly, but the wince on his face told her enough. Gently, she touched the edge of his ankle, testing its flexibility. The crowd had grown silent, breaths held as they watched, uncertainty layered over their faces like heavy fog. Ella looked up at Dr. Harris. I think it's just a sprain, but he'll need a gentle wrap and some ice. Can you grab the first aid kit from your car? He hesitated, eyes flashing with concern. What if just do it? He needs us. Ella insisted, the urgency thrumming in her veins. Doctor Harris dashed off while Ella returned her focus to Tommy. We're going to make you feel much better, I swear. She smiled, determined to shield him from the fright encasing the crowd around them. As the mayor watched, a flicker of hope mingled with fear danced in her eyes. The scene unfolded like a slow breath of fresh air. It was a reminder of what they were fighting for, not just healing, but community and trust. But just as the mayor was about to step in with her own words of encouragement, another voice broke through the tension. David, leaning against a tree, sneering. This won't end well. How can you possibly know what to do? The crowd began to murmur again, doubt creeping back into their hearts. Ella's breath caught, everything they had worked for hung in the balance. Could she hold them together, or would David's acrid words sow chaos once more? And amidst the rising turmoil, Ella felt a rich pulse of determination inside her. This was about to get more intense than she ever imagined. How could she prove that hope could eclipse fear in this town once and for all? Ella felt the weight of every gaze upon her, a mix of skepticism and worry biting into her resolve. Tommy's small hand clutched hers, his grip tightening with each wince. She couldn't let fear take root, not for him, and not for the others. Listen, everyone. Ella called out, her voice ringing through the murmurs like a bell. Right now, we need support. You can help too. Can anyone here remember something that always made you feel better as a child? A story, a game? Silence blanketed the crowd, and then an elderly man stepped forward, his eyes twinkling faintly. I used to love playing marbles with my brother. It always made the pain fade away. Yes, marbles. Exactly. Ella encouraged, her heart lifting. Tommy, do you know how to play marbles? Can you picture them? A flicker of recognition sparkled in Tommy's eyes. I have some at home, they're cool colors. The boy's voice was barely above a whisper, but Ella seized onto it like a lifeline. Perfect. Just think of those colors, she said, her own voice steadying. And remember, every marble you want to win is like a victory over the pain, right? Ella could see his small shoulders relax just a fraction. He nodded, still clutching her hand. The mother encouraged him, her voice now steadier as she connected with thoughts of marbles, memories spilling over like a calming stream. The tension in the crowd began to shift as more people shared stories, their voices weaving a tapestry of nostalgia and warmth. A woman started talking about her favorite stuffed animal, while another man spoke about tree climbing. Laughter bubbled, mingling with the scattered sobs of concern. David's sneer faltered slightly, unable to maintain his facade amid the growing camaraderie. Ella felt the tide turning, a kind of magic unfurling with each innocent tale shared. Look, she said, gesturing for attention again. Just as we are here for Tommy, we can take care of one another. What if someone brings a blanket? It would make him feel more comfortable while we wait for Dr. Harris to return. A few people visibly shifted, realizing they could actively participate. A woman rushed forward with her jacket, draping it over Tommy's legs protectively. I used to do this for my daughter when she fell, she said softly, her voice quiet but firm. With every act of kindness, the winds of uncertainty shifted more. Ella could see it, the townspeople beginning to put their trust into her hands, letting down their walls of disbelief. Moments later, Dr. Harris returned, the first aid kit clutched tightly against his chest. I'm back. He knelt beside Ella, assessing the situation. What's the verdict? It's a sprain, Ella replied, her confidence buoyed by the community's support. But I really believe we can help him right here. With focused determination, Dr. Harris and Ella worked together on Tommy's ankle. They wrapped it gently while keeping the boy engaged, his thoughts drifting away from the pain, embraced by stories. But just as the first bandage was being secured, Ella noticed David stepping closer again, his brows knitted tightly together. You think a few stories and a bandage will actually change anything? He scoffed. What will that do when deeper problems arise? What kind of healer are you? The sting of his words lingered in the air, threatening to unravel everything they had built in the moment. Ella's heart tightened, doubt creeping back in like a shadow. This was more than just about Tommy, it was about the very spirit of their community. She paused, taking a breath, feeling the weight of all their eyes on her again, the belief she had kindled slipping away like smoke. Would her promise to heal, to bring them together, be nothing more than empty words? As the crowd held its breath, Ella faced David, feeling a flicker of rebellious courage ignite in her chest. How could she illuminate the truth behind her vision of collective healing, when it felt ready to fade? And with that, Ella realized the answer was not in defending her ideas but in opening the door for understanding. Could she turn this moment from conflict to a new beginning for everyone involved? Ella's heart raced as the silence seemed to hang thick in the air. The challenge before her felt monumental. She glanced at Tommy, his innocent eyes wide with hope, and then back at the townspeople, their expressions a blend of curiosity and skepticism. There had to be a way to bridge this gap. This isn't just about healing a sprained ankle. It's about healing our community, Ella said firmly, pulling her shoulders back. She could feel warmth rising in her chest, a sign of the passion igniting within her. Let us try something different, something we can all contribute to. People exchanged glances, intrigued. Ella took a breath, grasping for ideas that could inspire them all. How about we share stories, not just the light ones but the tough ones too? The times we stumbled and found a way up again. Isn't that what we all do in life? A little boy, no older than Tommy, piped up from the back. I fell off my bike last summer, and everyone thought I wouldn't ride again, but I did. Then I rode even faster. He smiled, proud of his triumph. Yes. Ella exclaimed, her voice brimming with excitement. That's exactly it. Sharing our struggles means we connect. We learn from each other. The crowd began to murmur, some nodding, others shifting their weight as if contemplating her words. It seemed a flicker of understanding was forming. A woman stepped forward, her voice shaking but filled with conviction. I lost my job last year. It felt like the end of the world. But I started volunteering at the library, and now, I feel like I'm part of something bigger. A few people clapped, their hearts softening once more. That's it. Ella encouraged. These stories show resilience. Every trial is a chance to grow. We can be a community that lifts each other, not just in good times but through the tough ones, too. Ella felt a wave of energy washing over the crowd. People began to share more stories, each tale a thread binding them closer together. She noticed David standing still, his expression shifting from disdain to contemplation. Even in the darkest times, there's light, Ella continued. And together, we can shine brighter. Tommy chimed in, like when we all get together for the summer picnic. That's fun. His eyes sparkled as he spoke. The laughter that followed felt like a breath of fresh air. It was infectious, clearing the remnants of doubt hanging in the atmosphere. Ella felt her spirit soar. They were weaving an invisible tapestry of hope. Even David was softening, crossing his arms but visibly listening. All right, let us take action. She called out. Beyond just sharing, who would like to help organize our next gathering? A community picnic or a game day could be a great way to reconnect. Tones shifted from skepticism to enthusiasm as hands started shooting up, and voices mingled with excitement about planning. Underneath, Ella felt the threads of unity growing stronger. See, David? She said quietly as he stepped closer. This is just the beginning. Our stories matter, they knit us together. Healing is more than just physical. It's emotional. For a second, she saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes. But before he could respond, a loud crash echoed from the back, pulling everyone's attention. They turned to see an older woman's grocery bag split open, spilling apples everywhere. With a collective gasp, the people rushed over, laughter mixed with urgency. Tommy tugged at Ella's hand, a smile on his face. Can we help? We should help. As they moved forward, eager to join in the task of gathering the apples, Ella watched with a renewed sense of purpose. This was exactly what she hoped for: a community in action, growing stronger together. But just as the atmosphere lightened, David's voice broke through the laughter like a storm cloud. "This might be all fun and games now, but what happens when real trouble strikes? Will stories save us then?" Ella turned, caught off guard by his challenge. Could they really face the deeper issues lurking beneath the surface? Would they stay united when the tough stuff really hit? Her stomach twisted with anxiety, but the spark kindled in her heart urged her to push through. This moment was more than just about an ankle or a picnic, it was the very essence of finding strength in one another. She took a deep breath, excitement and uncertainty intertwining. "Perhaps we'll find greater strength through our stories and together face whatever challenges come our way." As she spoke, determination filled her voice. But would it be enough to keep them all united in what lay ahead? Ella inhaled deeply, steadying herself against the wave of uncertainty. The energy in the air felt electric, charged with a mixture of hope and apprehension. She met David's gaze, searching for an answer to his challenging question. His brows were furrowed, and a line formed around his mouth. He was ready for an argument, but Ella sensed something different beneath his defensiveness: a desire to connect, perhaps, or a longing to believe. "David," she began, her voice steady, "stories do have power. They remind us of our resilience, our humanity. When the storms come, it's those connections, those shared experiences that can help us weather anything." He remained silent for a moment, processing her words. Around them, the crowd busied themselves with the fallen apples, laughter resonating in pockets as different groups gathered, sharing stories amidst the chaos. Among them, Tommy chuckled with a few other kids trying to juggle the shiny fruit. "Maybe, but what if sharing isn't enough?" David countered, his voice quieter, more introspective. "There are deeper issues we have to consider: bills piling up, loneliness, fear of losing our homes. What happens when the stories aren't enough?" The laughter faded slightly as the crowd began to listen more intently. Ella felt the weight of his words, the reality of their lives loomed large. She knew firsthand how fear could creep into the corners of one's life, shadowing every joy, every connection. A woman, Anna, who had earlier shared her job loss, chimed in, "We can't ignore those problems, David. But maybe sharing is a step toward finding solutions. Just look at what's happening now. We're talking, we're here, maybe that's how we start to tackle those bigger issues." Ella appreciated Anna's encouragement. It was becoming clear that this wasn't just about a picnic or a game day, it was about reshaping their perception of community. She took another moment, glancing at Tommy, who had decided that a rolling apple was just as fun as picking them up. "Think about it this way," Ella said, her voice rising with conviction. "If we can inspire each other with our stories, we might find the motivation to face those bigger challenges together. We can organize food drives, set up support networks, whatever it takes. But we have to start somewhere." The murmurs from the crowd shifted again, and Ella felt a spark ignite in the room. She continued, "Every small action counts. And if these stories inspire even one person to take that first step, it's worth it." She could see nods of agreement. The tide was turning, a subtle yet palpable shift. "All right then," David finally said, a hint of a smile unearthing on the corners of his mouth. "Let's say you're right. How do we keep this momentum going? How do we take the stories and turn them into something actionable?" "Yes." Ella beamed, her heart lifting. "We brainstorm together. Let's invite everyone to pitch in ideas after our stories. We can create action teams based on what resonates most with each of us. This way, everyone can contribute." The crowd erupted into excited conversations again, the earlier doubts dissipating. David's tense expression softened, revealing a glimmer of acceptance. Ella felt a surge of gratitude. This was the moment of transformation she'd hoped for, not an instantaneous fix, but a genuine understanding and commitment to each other. She reached out toward David, past the layers of his skepticism, hoping to draw him in. "You're a part of this too. Your perspective matters just as much as everyone else's. We will create space for everyone's voice. As they began sharing more ideas and forming teams, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the crowd. It felt like a new dawn. Yet, amidst the laughter and planning, a heavy cloud lingered in the background. Ella could feel the weight of unspoken fears lurking just underneath the excitement. What if we are not prepared for the real troubles? David finally asked, looking serious again. Ella swallowed hard, sensing that the biggest challenge was yet to come, a storm that would test their connections, their very souls. What lay hidden amongst their stories? Would they truly be enough to face the reality around them? Her heart raced with anticipation and dread. It was clear this was only the beginning. Ella stood amidst the bustling crowd, the warm glow of the sun bathing Maple Grove in golden hues. The air buzzed with energy as neighbors exchanged tales and laughter, forging connections anew. Ella couldn't help but smile, feeling hope pulse through her like a shared heartbeat. But beneath the surface, unease lingered like shadows in the corners, whispering uncertainties. As the last echoes of laughter faded, the crowd faced a new reality. Ella took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of excitement and trepidation ripple through her. Things have shifted for us, but challenges remain, she addressed the gathered townsfolk, her voice steady yet soft. Yes, we're sharing stories, but let's keep the focus. We have to prepare ourselves for the tougher battles that life throws at us. David stepped forward, his expression serious yet open. I think we've all felt the weight of our worries. But what does that mean for us now? What do we do next? Ella nodded, grateful for his willingness to engage. It means we need to create a safety net for one another. A support system, a community that stands firm in helping each other through the hard times. Think of it like our remedies: some may heal, others may soothe, but together, we can cultivate a garden of hope through action and understanding. A ripple of acknowledgement surged through the crowd. Ella could see the wheels turning in their minds, the possibility of shared responsibility and kindness taking root. Let us divide ourselves into action teams, she continued, her hands raised to emphasize her words. Each group can tackle specific needs: financial aid for families struggling, gathering food or resources, helping the elderly. Together, we can weave a safety net strong enough to catch us when life gets tough. Excitement flickered in the crowd, wavering like a flame. Yes, the townsfolk began to agree, voices growing louder. Let us do it. Together. Dr. Harris stepped forward, his medical expertise grounding the efforts. We can hold training sessions, teaching each other skills to prepare for emergencies like what happened with Patrick and Tommy. We can equip everyone with the knowledge to help in any crisis. Ella felt a swell of emotion watching them rally together, their spirits igniting with enthusiasm. They were transforming, molding their fears into action, just as she had learned from her father's remedies. Just as new discussions began to flourish, Mrs. Thompson stepped up, her face radiant yet serious. But let us not forget, we have to keep the channels of communication open. Fear will still creep in, doubt will linger. We must be here for each other, encouraging one another to speak up. Exactly. Ella responded, her heart brimming with pride. We are a tapestry, and together, we can create something resilient, one that bounces back from heartache rather than shying away. It's our duty to share openly, listen deeply, and ensure no one feels isolated during hard times. A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd as they organized into groups, teaming with ideas, sharing knowledge learned from one another, inspiring creativity, laughter, and heartfelt collaboration. As light began to fade, casting a turquoise hue across the sky, Ella felt a gentle tug at her side. It was Lily, eyes wide and shining. Mama, does this mean we can make magic potions together? Ella laughed softly, kneeling down to embrace her. Yes, sweetheart, but think of them as potions of love and unity. We can all create our own magic here. A newfound commitment gripped the air, and the town forged ahead, ready to dismantle the barriers of distrust and fear that had once divided them. The gathering had sparked something vital, a determination to rise together, harnessing stories as the foundation for a brighter tomorrow. Just then, David caught Ella's eye. You know, he began, a hint of a smile breaking through, maybe I was wrong to doubt. If we keep the spirit alive, it'll be tough to let fear win. That's the hope, David, Ella replied, watching the townsfolk share laughter and engage openly. The fear will always exist, but together, we can build a fortress of trust strong enough to withstand anything. We're on a path of healing, for each of us and for all of Maple Grove. As Ella stood with her community, hearts entwined in shared purpose, she felt a moment of joy and peace wash over her. They were all transformed, their battles and fears no longer solitary, but woven together into the fabric of hope, woven through stories that illuminated the future, and in that luminous moment, Ella understood that they had taken the first steps to not just heal the wounds of the past, but to write a new chapter full of promise, resilience, and a strong sense of belonging that could forever light their way forward. So let this be the moment you, too, become a part of something greater. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Your support is crucial. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your little click makes a world of difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending below. Let's create a connected community here. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us rise together.